I used to think that once I got married and had kids that I would be happy. Or once I got that job that I always dreamed of that I would be happy. Or once that person in my life that I wanted removed was removed, then I would be happy. It wasn't until some of these things came to pass that I realized that although they brought me joy for a moment, it quickly faded away. True joy doesn't come from circumstances or goals or dreams being fulfilled. It comes from a connection and a relationship with God. And it's when I live that abundant life that He's called me to that I truly experience contentment. We live in this world with so many problems. There's malice, rage, selfishness, greed, and the list goes on and on. It's hard to truly be content when we have all of these problems around us. So how do we live content in a broken and fallen world like ours? Let's take a look at the Bible. We have 3 examples that I want to share with you tonight. Paul, Jesus, and Job. These are 3 men in the Bible that went through hell and back and yet experienced contentment. So taking a look at Paul, he said in Philippians 4:11-13 that he learned the secret to contentment. And it didn't have to do with status, children, money, or possessions. The secret to his contentment was Jesus. Paul's life was far from easy or perfect. He was shipwrecked, imprisoned, beaten, and stoned, just to name a few. Yet he continued to put his eyes on Jesus. 2 Corinthians 12:9-10 says, "Each time he said, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong.'" Jesus himself demonstrated what it meant to be content. Although he was God in human form, his life was far from trouble-free. One of the most stressful moments of his life was in the Garden of Gethsemane, hours before he was crucified. He was literally under so much pressure and stress that he was sweating blood. He was not at peace with what he was about to do, which was die on the cross for me and you, and experience separation from God, the person, the being that he loved more than anyone and anything in the world. But he set that aside and he chose to come live in this broken world in the first place, knowing that the suffering he was going to have to endure was only for a little while, and that in the end he would be glorified and mankind would be saved. Jesus did it out of love for the Father, and he did it out of love for you and me. With his eyes on heaven, he was able to make it through. If you look at the book of Job, this is another great example of being content no matter what. The definition of content is satisfied and not wishing for more. Of course, as all of these horrible things were taking place in Job's life, the death of his children, his livestock and his wealth and everything that he had, all of his possessions, even his servants, his slaves, were all destroyed. He even had boils all over his body, and his wife told him, "Just curse God and die." But no matter what, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't curse God and die. Because even though he didn't have peaceful happiness as he was going through those things, he trusted in God, and he knew God was sovereign, and that even though he didn't understand his plan, he knew that God had a plan for him. Job was tested by God to prove to the world and to Satan that Job truly loved God, and that he didn't love God just for his possessions or his blessings. He loved God genuinely and faithfully. And because of his love for God, he was rewarded with even more blessings than he began with. So I ask of you, what is your motivation? Do you serve God for rewards and blessings, or do you serve God because you love him? Are you focused on the here and now, or are you looking forward to our life in heaven? Looking ahead can give us comfort and strength, but we can't forget to live in the moment. we will never get this moment again. And we can never truly be content in the future. We can never truly be content in heaven if we don't learn how to be content here. Because brothers and sisters, the truth of the matter is, if you have God, then you have everything you need, because God is enough. God bless you.